satoma sadgamaya tamasoma jyotirgamaya mrityurma amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. The subject of my talk today is meditation and Swami Vivekananda. We celebrated Swami Vivekananda's birthday on Sunday, January 7th. So this is the month of Swami Vivekananda's birthday. So it will be quite pertinent to go through his life, illustrious life, and also his immortal teachings. It is said that he popularized yoga in this country, but he never performed yoga exercise as such. And also now we see that probably he was the first person who introduced meditation in this country. In a sense, that means which will be practicable for everybody. So in that way we can say that he was the pioneer in meditation of this country also. So it is good to know how he became a great person of meditation. Of course, he has many aspects of his life have been studied and used and also debated. But from the spiritual point of view, which is very important for us, how he became a great meditator and how actually he imparted meditation or taught meditation to others, and what are his experiences, and also what are his instructions, or what he thought about meditation. All those things will be quite important, interesting to us. Let us start with his birth. Physically, you see, that means what we can perceive through our eyes and ears, that he was born in the year of 1863 in January 12. There are stories behind that, but that is, some people say that they are stories, but still for us devotees or those who want to know more about Swami Vivekananda, those stories are very important. They inspire us. That is the most important part. We need inspiration. If you want to do meditation, some motivation should be there, some faith should be there, some other important things actually help us into the practice of meditation. So he was born in the year 1863 in January 12 in Calcutta, in North Calcutta. The place was known as Simulia, and the place where he was born, at present of course it is known, the area is, there is a main street which is known as Vivekananda Road, and also it is a junction of College Street or Cornwall Street probably, that means Vidhan Sarani now. And at present the house where he was born is a heritage house, you can say, a very beautifully renovated house. It took long 20 years to bring that house to the public. His father was a lawyer, attorney at law. Not only his father, his grandfather was also attorney at law. Not only his grandfather, his great-grandfather was also attorney at law. So law, study of law or practice of law was in his gene, you can say. They were so associated with legal things. And his father's name was Vishwanath Datta and mother's name was Bhuvaneshwari Devi. And as story goes, mothers usually want to have a son. He was born after having a few sisters born. Not all of them did not live long, but still he was the first son born to the parents. He had other two brothers born later on, Mahendranath Datta and also Gopendranath Datta. Both of them were very illustrious. because of Swami Vivekananda, actually we do not go through their lives too much, but Bhupendranath Datta was one of the pioneers of independence of this country. And he actually traveled, and he was a sort of freedom fighter. Not only a freedom fighter, he was a very sought after from the point of view of what is called independence, or he starred British government that he was supposed to be, he was actually in prison for his activities about independence and all those. In those days it is called freedom fighting. That means it was not terrorism as such, but freedom fighting. That was a very noble and accepted pursuit that young people used to do. So he traveled in this country and he traveled in Europe, and for some time he had to hide himself from the British government also. So in that way he was very illustrious. He has written one book about Swami Vivekananda, and you will be surprised to know that he actually did not evaluate Swami Vivekananda as a great spiritual personality. That was they had their independent ideas, but he did not have that type of respect as a spiritual personality, but he respected him for his patriotism. And his second brother was Mahendranath Datta, but he was really, himself was a great spiritual person. The story is like this: when Swami Vivekananda became very well known and traveled to this country and then went to England, he called this brother, that Mahendranath Datta, and his idea was that he should become an engineer, electrical engineer or something like that, so that he, after going back, he can utilize this knowledge and start some industry or something like that, because India was poor, so that will be very useful. In that way, he invited him to come to England and study this engineering courses. I do not have a good recollection, but probably he did not study engineering, but did something. But later on we see that he did not practice that profession. He was a great saintly person by his own nature. He did spiritual practices, and very close to other direct disciples of the passing away of his elder brother. And he used to live in the house, in that ancestral house. And you'll be surprised to know that the story of the house is very important to know, or maybe interesting to know. When his father died, that means Swami Vivekananda lost his father when he was a college student, just graduated from the school and pursuing studies of law. At that time his father suddenly died. His father was very wealthy in a sense, that means he earned a lot, but he spent a lot also. Probably his expenditure was more than he had earned. His house was full of different relatives and acquaintances, and also he used to give shelter to person who came to him for some help. And in that way, the house was always busy, and he was also a very good cook. He used to himself cook food and serve people, and also he was very well known in the Calcutta society. And all those things were behind him, but when he died suddenly, Swami Vivekananda, his being the eldest son, he had to take up the responsibility of the family. So when he saw that, when all those things settled down after the passing of the father, he looked to the finances and all those things. He found that his father has left a big debt, and it turned out that they had to live a very stringent life. That means sometimes there are difficulties in getting day-to-day food even. So he had to take a job also, and first he took the job of a school teacher, then some other jobs also he tried, but it did not work. So he was always worried about the family that we see. And not only that, because his father had other relatives living in the house, big house. It is a palatial building. Even by today's standards, it's a palatial building. So different devotees, different relatives lived there. So they actually said that this portion of the house was given to us by your father. In that way, they claimed their possession in the house. It was very difficult for him to get rid of them. And not only that, some of them also claimed the portion where the family actually lived to be their own. And that litigation actually continued and continued and continued for a long time, till probably he passed away. That means that burden was always in his head, how to maintain the family. Now we started his life in this way, and in the school, he went to the school where, after the local school, which first he went to the school which was run by Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, who was a great educationist and philanthropist of Calcutta. You will find some meeting of some Vidyasagar with Ramakrishna, very illuminating meeting. Vidyasagar as such was a Hindu, but and also followed all the cultures of the Hindu, but in his mind, that means inside his mind, he was skeptic. That means he did not believe in the existence of God, or if he had believed, probably he did not have that much respect, because he saw the poverty and other what is called tribulations of the humanity, which actually the question came to his mind: why is this suffering? Is that the all-powerful God is there? That bothers many persons, and he was also bothered, but he did not go further. But at the same time, he was a devout Hindu from the point of view of culture. That means he was a Brahmin, so Brahmins need to do what is called daily spiritual practices like Sandhavandana, as it is called, and he used to wear the sacred thread and all the other paraphernalia he used to do. So in that school actually he went, and ultimately after high school graduation he went to a college which later on came to be known as Scottish Church College. He first went to the Presidency College, and later on he got transferred to the Scottish Church College. And being a young person of that time, and at that time, especially in Calcutta area, people were very much influenced by Keshav Chandra Sen. He was a great orator and also propagator of Brahmo religion. Brahmo religion is like this, that means they chose some of the portions from the Upanishad, some of the portions from the Quran, some of the portions from the Bible. In that way they chose some selected portions, and in that way they formed their what is called creed. And they did not believe in the form, they believed in formless God. That means God doesn't have form. That was one of the main criteria. Because Islam and Christianity does not believe in the form of God, so that actually they borrowed. In Vedas and Upanishads actually that is there. So in that way they formed their religion. And also because of the powerful speakers, powerful personalities behind that, actually they became very popular and attractive to the young people. Brahmo religion was started by one Raja. His name was Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Raja, in a sense, that means was a zamindar, that means a landlord, and he studied. He was a very scholarly person, studied many religions and also languages, and he was a reformist, so he wanted to reform Hinduism, and in that way he first established. But it proliferated after his passing away. Devendranath Tagore was the father of Rabindranath Tagore, who was the main source. He was a very wealthy person, and at the same time a spiritual person also. Spiritual person means though he had wealth, he had a lot of landed property, big extended family, but most of the time he used to practice spirituality. Not only that, he used to take off from his family duties and other things, and he used to go to the Himalayas and other places, and he used to spend extensive time doing spiritual practices. Even when he used to live in Calcutta, he had a boat. Boat means in that boat there are all facilities, houseboat type. So instead of living in the palatial building, which is now a university, so he used to spend his time in contemplation in that boat. So he himself was a great spiritual personality, and he had many sons. Rabindranath Tagore was one of them. So the point is that the atmosphere was very spiritual, but reformed spiritual. It is not exactly what is called ancient Hinduism, but it is not 100% correct, what I said. There were some Orthodox Hindus who also saw that, well, our religion is getting pushed out. So they also took what is called, they also came forward by preaching the ancient creed of Hinduism. In that way, there are also another group of people. So it was a turmoil. That means the situation of Calcutta, Bengal, and overall, to some extent, India also was like this. So at that time, Swami Vivekananda was born, and he was started growing, and he was really influenced by these thought currents that were going on. So he was a sincere person. He took the study of philosophy to know about the existence of God, what the philosophers have to say. Not only that, he used to attend these talks by the great spiritual personalities, and also used to meet reputed spiritual seekers. In that way, in every act actually we see that he was looking for something which is spiritual. So ultimately it so happened that when he was in college, one professor said that, well, if you want to know what is the highest spiritual experience, say trance, so you can go to Dakshineshwar, which is not too far from Calcutta, and there's a person named Ramakrishna who actually goes into this type of experiences. And he took that point. That means he was a seeker, so actually somehow or other it stuck to his mind. But he did not work at that time, or did not go immediately. So he was looking for an opportunity. And that opportunity came very easily. Easily in a sense that means Ramakrishna by that time has become quite well known in the Calcutta circle, probably in other parts also because of Keshav Chandra Sen. Keshav Chandra Sen, though he was a Brahmin, he actually respected Sri Ramakrishna because of his spiritual attainment. They became very good friends. And he actually started writing and talking about Sri Ramakrishna and his teachings. So in that way, people of Calcutta came to know, and many people wanted to, went to see Sri Ramakrishna, get the benefit of his teachings, and they also started inviting him to come to Calcutta to meet devotees. And Sri Ramakrishna took the opportunity because Dakshineshwar at that time was a far place for ordinary people. That means about 7 miles away from Calcutta. For ordinary people to hire a carriage and go there was difficult. So time to time he used to come to Calcutta and he used to stay in the house of Balaram Bose. He was a great devotee, and at that time people used to gather around him, and also slowly other devotees also started bringing him in their houses. So in that way, in the vicinity of his residence, in the vicinity of Swami Vivekananda, at that time his young age name was Narendranath. So he actually, in the locality where Narendranath used to live, there was one person, his name was Surendranath Mitra. He was a fairly wealthy person, and he worked in some farm, and he became a devotee of Sri Ramakrishna. He once invited Sri Ramakrishna to his house and arranged other devotees to come and take the benefit of Sri Ramakrishna's teachings and all those things. As a part of this type of meeting, he arranged, devotees used to arrange some music, devotional music. Sri Ramakrishna liked that. So in that way, he invited Narendranath to sing a few songs. By that time, because of Brahmo Samaj, we see that though he had a good taste for music, so Narendranath actually used to sing in Brahmo Samaj. Brahmo Samaj services used to be like this. That means they used to have some prayer, then some songs, then sermon. Sometimes they used to arrange some religious drama, and in that way they popularized their religion. So he used to take part, Narendranath used to take part on those things, and in that way he became well known in the local circle that he is a good singer. So Surendranath invited him to sing a few songs when Sri Ramakrishna was visiting. And that was the point when actually they first met. And Ramakrishna was very much enchanted by the songs. And then he, after this meeting was over, he called this young man, Narana, to him and said that, well, you please meet me alone in Dakshineshwar. I would like to talk to you. So that actually automatically worked for Narana, as we see. And that was the first meeting. Then we see that he did not go again immediately as such. So afterwards, when opportunity came, he went to meet Sri Ramakrishna. And Sri Ramakrishna was waiting for him. Waiting in a sense, that means Sri Ramakrishna later on himself told these stories. That means what he had seen or had the experience in vision. As you know, as that Professor William Hastie, who actually pointed that this person used to go into trance, Sri Ramakrishna used to go in trance. So Sri Ramakrishna in a trance or in a high spiritual mood had some experience that this young boy, Narendra, was no other than a great sage who actually remained in what is called a high sphere of heaven or whatever you call it. And he was a great rishi. And time to time these rishis come down on earth to do for the benefit of the humanity when there was a necessity. Avatars come, and with avatars also they have to bring some people or spiritual personalities also come who actually help in the mission of the avatars. So in that way he figured out that this is a person actually whom he had seen that will be coming on earth for the benefit of the humanity, for spiritual revival of the humanity. So he had that premonition. So by seeing him, actually he wanted to verify, because visions, you know, we do not believe these things, but Sri Ramakrishna himself was really used to question themselves just like us, because he traveled between ordinary person and what is called Superman, if you call it, or avatars, spiritual real. So when question came, he wanted to verify whether it is true or not. So what he did, because of his spiritual attainment, as you know, we are reading Raja Yoga. So in Raja Yoga, you see that we have samadhi, and then meditation, and then other lower things. Sri Ramakrishna, because of his attainment of spirituality, he used to remain mostly in the realm of samadhi, or the highest spiritual mode, with some desire in his mind. Desire is the only thing that actually connects what is called the spirit to the worldly things. If no desire is there, then ego will not be there. Ego and desire go hand in hand. So with the help of that ego and desire, actually he used to bring the mind to the worldly plane. So he actually thought, let me try, or let me check how is it. Then at the same time, you know, when we have read Raja Yoga, that those who have attained to that state, all the powers, that means samyama as it is called, we have a full chapter on powers. So all those powers are actually within in their hands. So if they wish something, actually automatically the power comes, in a sense, because their mind is so concentrated. So concentration is the most important. So he thought, let me try what he had to say. So he touched and started, and by his touch, actually, because of a great spiritual personality, he himself got transformed into a higher spiritual, mind went into a higher spiritual plane. That one touch actually changed his mind. Then actually, just like anesthesia, you know, the patient is now under control, so he started asking a few questions, which actually gave him the verification that yes, he is that person whom he had seen in the highest spiritual realm. So, of course, Swami Vivekananda, he also had described that experience later on. Sri Ramakrishna also has said what he did. So, in that way, we see they corroborate in each other. And in that way, we see that Sri Ramakrishna confirmed that, yes, this person has come for this purpose, and he has a mission that he has to accomplish. And Sri Ramakrishna knew about himself. So he had come for the regeneration of religion, or whatever you call it, and he need to make this person for the mission for which he has come. That is why we see that he frequently used to come to, once they met, Sri Ramakrishna encouraged him to come very often and trained him in spiritual practices. Though one touch was there and experience was there, but that was not enough. That was just the beginning. He has to stand on his own feet for the mission for which he had come. So slowly we see that the interaction started continuing, and at the same time Swami Vivekananda, that means Narendra at that time, had to struggle in a sense. One side the family was there, one side the studies were there, another side it was like this, that he got involved into spirituality. That means that was his lifelong. By this time he was seeking something spiritual, and he saw that this is the line which actually fulfills him. Fulfillment will come from that side. So this struggle actually was in his mind. And slowly we see that after Sri Ramakrishna's training and all those things, he understood the purpose of his life, and ultimately Sri Ramakrishna confirmed. That means before he is passing away, he took the responsibility. That means it is an official delegation, if you can call it. That means he had to accept what Sri Ramakrishna wanted him to do. Otherwise, he thought that, well, my purpose was to attain spirituality, have spiritual experiences, go into samadhi, and after attainment of samadhi, what to do else? But nothing needs to be done. So as long as the body persists, I shall live, and then when the body becomes old, I shall cast it away, and then I shall be released. That means I shall attend to what is called liberation. That was his goal. But Ramakrishna said, no, this is not enough for you. You have come for this purpose. And so Narendra at that time thought that these are the prattle of a madman. So in that way actually he neglected and not only taunted him also. But Sri Ramakrishna actually forced him. Forced in a sense, that means he said that you are bound to do this. In that way he actually ordered him, if you call it. Then actually he had to accept what Sri Ramakrishna has said, and naturally he accepted that responsibility. So later on we see that he could not continue his studies, and at the same time somehow he managed to keep his family well fed at least. So in that way, after making some arrangements after the passing away of Sri Ramakrishna, he quit. That means he took the monastic vow. Sri Ramakrishna had chalked out what needs to be done for the mission for which he had come. So one after another actually he started working on that. First he gathered the young people who used to come to Sri Ramakrishna because they are the working force for the completion of the mission. So he established the Varanagar monastery, and there they used to do intense spiritual practices, and ultimately from there actually they scattered in places of pilgrimages and gathered spirituality, become strong in spiritual stature, and ultimately we see that after going through the length and breadth of India, he saw that it will be immature to just preach religion at this point. So he wanted to lift the people, ordinary mass. That means the people who are really steeped in poverty, illiteracy, lack of health, and all those things were that those things need to be addressed first. Then actually when they are a little bit well-to-do in a sense, that means when they are really ready to give some time for spiritual practices. Otherwise, if the money is not there, so the pursuit of money and food and all those things will take away the time. So he thought that first education, health, and what is called job and all those things needed to be done for him. For that actually he wanted to start some institution. Sri Ramakrishna had told all those things. That means he had said that in hungry, in an empty stomach one cannot practice religion. Though empty stomach is good for austerities, individual austerities, those who do not, those who eat too much, but for ordinary people, that empty stomach does not work for practice of spirituality. They have to be fed, they have to gain good health, and also their mind to be clear by education. All those things are necessary. So he thought that first let me try to reform or do something for the alleviation of this poverty and bring some education. So when he traveled throughout length and breadth of India, he started meeting rich people. Rich people in a sense, that means in those days there are princes. That means India was divided into small states. Only thing that the relationship with the British was that they did not have the power to in the what is called external matters. That means foreign relationship with foreign countries they could not do. And of course they used to pay some money to the British government, and also some other law and order and all those things, legal affairs and all those things used to be taken care by the British government. Otherwise, they had certain amount of what is called freedom. All those princes had certain amount of freedom, and also they are very rich because of the tradition. That means they came from the historical point of view. They had these lineages, and also they have their accumulated wealth and all those things. But most of them actually did not bother for the poor people. They spend their money in luxuries and enjoyment and all those things. So Swami Vivekananda thought that, well, let me try to convince them first and get some money for this what is called for the training of these people and other things. But nobody responded. So ultimately, some suggested, one or two, of course, gave thoughts to that and suggested that if you go to a foreign country and preach what you are thinking, probably you will get money because they are more generous and they are well-to-do, so money will come to you. So he was thinking, he was trying to find an opportunity, and the opportunity came when this Parliament of Religion in 1893, Parliament of Religion was going to be held. So some people said that you go there and preach Hinduism, philosophy. You are very educated and good speaker. So in that way, if you go there, probably people will be attracted and it will be easy for you to get money. So he came to this country to get donations. That means money actually. But when he came, as you know, that he was very he was not really ready in a sense. That means those who sent, they did not know what needs to be done to be a representative and other things also. Even when the Parliament of Religion will be held, that date also was not really known to them. So in that way, he had to face a lot of difficulties. But ultimately, we see that he became a representative of Hinduism and addressed the Parliament of Religion. And that address was really very much well appreciated, and that made him an instant celebrity, that as it is called. That immediately people were attracted, and he took advantage of that. Advantage in a sense, that means people were in this country were really seeking something, and that seeking in a spiritual sense, and his message actually attracted many noble and thoughtful persons, and they started inviting him. So in that way he traveled several places of this country and preached Vedanta. And in this way he also collected some, met good friends who actually understood him and listened to him, gave money, and ultimately he came to India and established this Ramakrishna mission on 1st May of 1897. He came to this country in 1893. He came in the month of July, something towards the end of July. Then in September was the Parliament of Religion. From 1893, she was here for about 3 years. Then went back to India, and because of his popularity in this country, India also came to know. So he was very much, he was received just like a hero. So throughout India, actually, he traveled and broadcast his message. And that is the regeneration, you can say, regeneration of India started from there. Many people were attracted and they came forward. So the point is that he established this Ramakrishna mission in Calcutta in 1897, and that means he gathered all the other disciples, of young disciples, and also householder disciples, and in that way the mission was started. That means the purpose or the way he wanted to do the work, actually, the initial stage, actually, it came to it, what is called, it started working. And After staying in this country for some time and preaching, he again went back to, he came back to West. The reason was that he was so overworked that his health actually deteriorated. And people said that if you stay in this country, because of the weather and also the pressure of work and also demand of the people, actually will die. So just to recover, actually he was sent back again to this country. And he took rest for some time on the West Coast, and then he came to the West Coast, because during the first time he did not visit the West Coast. First he came to Los Angeles, and then from there he came to San Francisco in Northern California, and stayed in the Bay Area and used to give talks and all those things in that area. So probably about 6 months or 6.5 months he actually spent on the West Coast. Most of the time, 4 months or something like that, he spent in Northern California, and 2 months or 2.5 months he spent in Los Angeles, Southern California. And from here actually again he went back via Chicago to East Coast. That is and then later on he went back to India. He went to England every time. During his first visit also he visited England, and then in the second time also he visited England and took a group of devotees with him both the times, and then ultimately he settled down in India. His health became very poor, and ultimately we see he had purchased a land on the western bank of India and started the monastery and recruited young people, and in that way monastery also started working. So in this way, on two sides, that mission side and this spiritual side, the mott side, that is called monastery side, also well established, and by that time he became really, his health became very much affected. So we see that in 1902, unfortunately actually, he passed away in the monastery that he had established, which is known as Belur. So this is what is called in a short way the life that he had spent after becoming a monk. So his legacy is intense. He has said his complete work, that means what he has said, what he has written, and everything is available in his complete works, that is in 10 volumes now. And also his life, authentic life, that means a lot of people have done research, and in that way many things have come out, they are connected together. His life, that means his biography is also available in 2 volumes. And also another important thing is that being in this country, we also are interested how actually he spent his days in this country. So that also has been researched out, and in that way 5 or 6 volumes of books have come out from almost, you can say, day to day what he had done, that has been recorded. Because in this country, record keeping is very well done. That means they take care of keeping records. You'll find where actually he gave a talk, and who are the host, and in what institution actually he visited, who became his friends, all those details actually you'll find. And also later on, reminiscences of the persons who were really involved with Swami Vivekananda, they were also collected. In that way, a lot of wealth about Swami Vivekananda can be found out. The point is why these are necessary, that is the point. The necessary is that for our own purposes, just to get some inspiration, get some light in our lives. In that way they are very, very helpful. So Swami Vivekananda, as I said, that he was a rishi, as Ramakrishna has said, who was in meditation, and he came down on earth to do welfare for the humanity. So this meditation was his original, what is called, occupation, if you call it. The occupation is not a proper word, but he was in meditation. So, but we see that he was very active also. So this is sort of not a contradiction, but because he was a person of meditation, actually he could do so much work. Not only do so much work, that means he is being followed by others and doing work. That means that impact is still going on. And he has said that, yes, I live through my words. That means the speeches and all those things that he has given, If you read, definitely you will get inspiration. So let us see if there are some records where we can, we see him in meditation. So from the very beginning we see when he was a child, his mother actually prayed to Lord Shiva, and then he was born. So Lord Shiva, as you know, all the images of Lord Shiva is meditative type of images. Even when he's standing, you see that he's enrolled. We have one statue of Lord Shiva, it is in meditation. So it is a part of what is called Lord Shiva's influence, if we say. So in that way, meditation was his life. So at the young age, he was really very healthy person, active person. So sometimes he did mischiefs also. So mother actually thought that if I utter the name of Shiva, because he prayed to Shiva to get a son, probably it will work. Actually it worked. That means when he was doing something which was not really acceptable or which was notorious, mother actually used to pour water or what is called, put her hand on the head, saying Shiva, Shiva like that, and he used to come down. So the point is that he had that means by nature actually he was really meditative as such. And in young age actually his play was to do meditation with his compatriots, that means young children. They used to sit in a quiet place. In their house there are many rooms, and it is a museum now, people can go and see. So in one of the rooms, it is said once he was meditating with other kids. That means a play, a type of play that they are doing. And naturally, you know, young kids, it is very difficult for them to be quiet. So they were also, just because of the leader of their group has said, so they are following, but definitely they were awake and seeing and all those things. They saw one snake who came and passed through his body. But he was in good and deep meditation in his young childhood also. Later on, when they reported, that means they ran away and reported to the what is called the family members, they came running and then woke him up and said, and he was surprised. He did not have any sensation even that the snake had passed through his body. So that shows that he was really, from the very beginning, adept in meditation. Then, of course, as you know, and Sri Ramakrishna, in coming in contact with Sri Ramakrishna, he started practicing meditation. And later on, we see that Sri Ramakrishna gave instructions, all those things, but he was not having the highest experience as such. He used to meditate, and there are stories also. That means when he used to meditate, he used to sit in such a deep meditation that even mosquitoes and all those things used to, what is called, sit on the body and bite, but he did not have any sensation. Others also have said that. So he, at that time, Vivekananda at that time, he told Sri Ramakrishna that yes, your other disciples are having some experiences, they are saying, but I am not having anything like that. So Sri Ramakrishna said that, well, in time it will come, you practice and it will come. So Sri Ramakrishna is a good teacher, so he was not hurrying. So ultimately it is said that when Sri Ramakrishna was sick in Kashipur, one day he was in deep meditation. And by his side actually there was another brother disciple. He suddenly started crying, saying that, where is my body, where is my body, like that. So this was something that other brother disciple could not understand. So he rushed to Sri Ramakrishna and told that, well, Narayan is crying, saying that, where is my body, where is my body? So then Sri Ramakrishna understood that he had some experiences. Then later on he said that, well, let him be in that state for some time. That means, let him experience this state for some time. Then later on, when he came to Sri Ramakrishna, he explained that this is the highest experience. That means the body consciousness has completely gone away. But this experience will not come to you very often, because you have come to me to do some work. So until and unless you finish that work, this experience will not come to you. So in that way he cautioned him. That means you need not be, what is called, you should not go to that experience too much, don't get addicted to that experience. That is probably the shortest way of saying that. So he explained to him what needs to be done, and of course we see that though Sri Ramakrishna had said, Swami Vivekananda had several times this type of experience in some other places also. And that is especially what is called when he went to the Himalayas. That means when he was taking, as a pilgrim, visited many places. On the Himalayas, once he had a deep meditation under a people tree, as it is called. That tree actually is still there, or its what is called descendants are still there, whatever. But it is located. That's where he had one experience. In that experience, later on, he has said that I had a great problem of my life, or a great problem that was bothering me. Actually, is in solved. That means, what was that? He said that the macrocosm and microcosm are really work in the same fashion. That means both are really working. The relationship is like that. It is not that the microcosm, that means the cosmos is having some laws and other things, and microcosm, like what is called the body and all those things, are also working. So they are, he thought probably that they are in the different rules and regulations are there. Nature's rules and regulations. But he discovered, that means intuitively, he discovered that they follow the same principles. That was a great discovery that we see. So that experience he came. He said, there is a people tree, and there is a stream by its side, and one is of the universe and man. Man is a universe in miniature. And macrocosm and microcosm are guided by the same principle that actually solved a vexing problem that he had. In this country also there are 2-3 experiences that has been recorded. Of course, he used to meditate every day, but description and all those things, because it is a routine thing, nobody actually recorded those things, or probably he did not say anything, but definitely 2-3 experiences that he shared with others that were there. One is this. Once after giving talks on the East Coast and other places, he became very tired. So one of his friends, Mr. Leggett, actually invited him to a place in New Hampshire, which is known as Percy. It is a village type of thing. I did not have the opportunity of seeing that place, but it's a beautiful place, and Swami Vivekananda himself actually praised that place very much. That means he thought that this place is very spiritual. So he went into meditation, and there actually he experienced nirvikalpa samadhi. That means highest spiritual experience he had. So it was there was a lake surrounded by hills, covered with forest, and very restful place. And he meditated there, and he had deep experience there. He himself had said that. Then later on we see in Thousand Island Park. After that, that means after New Hampshire, actually he came to Thousand Island Park in the upstate New York. It is on the border of Canada, Ontario, I believe, on the bank of the St. Lawrence River. That place is very. It is a community of Methodists actually used to live there. Many Methodists have their what is called cabins and all those things there. So one of the devotees of Swami Vivekananda had a cabin there, Miss Dutcher. So she invited to spend some time, and not only that, she arranged a retreat. A retreat in a sense, that means those who are followers, they can come. We also arrange retreat. So in that way, it is a residential retreat. That means they had to stay for some time. She had arranged food, other boarding and lodging and all those things. So in that way, he used to give a talk in the morning, and then they used to meditate. And there is also, he had some experience there. So one day it so happened that he walked half a mile from the cottage. There are oak trees and all those native trees are there. So after his day's work, or after morning session, actually he walked half a mile towards the forest. And there was a low branched tree. And now actually, those who were following, he said that now let us sit down and do meditation. So he started meditating there. And at that time, then rain came. That means it started raining. And other devotees actually went for a shelter, but they found that Swami Vivekananda is not, there was no sensation, so nothing was there. So they ran, brought umbrella and raincoat and all those things to protect him. So in that way they did whatever they could do. Then ultimately when his meditation actually broke, then they thought, what has happened to you? So he said that this was my experience, highest experience I'm having at that time. Then it so happened that later on also it is said that when he used to teach meditation, sometimes actually he used to go into deep meditation for such a long time, the students used to get flabbergasted, what to do now? So he thought that, well, if you see that I am not really coming down from my meditation, you just utter some mantras, he told, that you utter in my ear. So in that way actually I shall come down. So that in case of Sri Ramakrishna also it used to happen. When he used to go into deep meditation or in Samadhi, he had his attendants, that means Hridaya was the first, and others also, the close devotees. And also he taught to Holy Mother also, that if these things happen, just to bring down my mind, utter these mantras. Some mantras he taught, so that brought the mind back. So in that way, Swami Vivekananda also taught them to how to bring his mind back. So in this way we see that in many occasions he experienced the highest, and that is being recorded. Now what he has said about meditation, a few of his utterances will be good, because he was such a, by his own, of course, out of devotion we always say, is highly respected, but definitely for our own benefit, of course, we need to have something from him. So he has said, what is meditation? Meditation is the power which enables us to resist all this. That means nature may call, look here, there is a beautiful thing. Do not look. Now she says, there is a beautiful smell, smell it. I say to my nose, do not smell it. And the nose doesn't. Eyes do not see. Nature does such an awful thing. Kills one of my children and say, now rascal, sit down and weep. Go to the depths. I say, I do not have to. I jump up, I must be free. Try sometimes. That means to get rid of all the thoughts which are really bothering us, bothers us in nature. That means as a routine or in a natural course, just to resist that. That power actually comes through meditation. In meditation, for a moment, you can change this nature. Now, if you had the power in yourself, would not that be heaven, freedom? That is the power of meditation. How is it to be attained? In a dozen of different ways. Of course, he has explained in his Raja Yoga and elsewhere how to do meditation. So the point is that control over the mind is the greatest benefit of doing meditation. Our mind is what is called out of our control, as we all experience that. So that is the great thing that we have. We acquire power to control our mind, that he has said. Then again he has said in another place, the gate to bliss meditation is the gate that opens that to us. Prayers, ceremonials and other forms of worship are simply kindergartens of meditation. That means it is not that he is what is called degrading these practices. They are rudimentary type of meditation. Ultimately, the power of controlling the mind comes to these practices. These practices are meant, or it is according to suitability and nature of the mind. But the point is that ultimate is the control of the mind. One should have attained that control of the mind in whatever ways it may be. So he has called these kindergartens of meditation. That means there is a touch of meditation in worship and prayer and all those things, but that is not enough. You pray, you offer something, a certain theory exists that everything raised one's spiritual power. The use of certain words, flowers, images, temples, ceremonies like the waving of lights brings the mind to that attitude. This is true. This is a practice of mindfulness, that you can say. If you do those things properly, keeping the mind on those things, actually it is a practice of concentration. Concentration says the mind is really engaged in what the body is doing. In that way, they are helpful. People are all doing it, but what they do without knowing it. Do knowingly, that is the power of meditation. Slowly and gradually we are to train ourselves. It is no joke, not a question of a day or years, or maybe of buts. Never mind, the pull must go on. Knowingly, voluntarily, the pull must go on. Inch by inch we'll gain ground. We'll begin to feel and get real possessions, which no one can take away from us. The wealth that no man can take, the wealth that nobody can destroy, the joy that no misery can hurt anymore. So this is the meditation. He has, that means, as we know in Raja Yoga and other places, he has given what is called systematic way how it needs to be done. But to know the purpose and what we shall gain out of practice of meditation, he has said in these statements. So let us think of Swami Vivekananda. The picture that you see, the altar is a picture where he was teaching Raja Yoga in London, and he was really in a deep meditation at that time. At such times, actually, the students had to utter the mantra to bring him back to the class. That was, it is said like that. So let us pray and think of Swami Vivekananda as a great teacher of meditation, and in that way we shall get benefit of his advent on this world.